And there we are. All right, all right. Ah, good to be back. Man, no, I haven't been able to stream. I haven't been able to stream for a week. My hard drive crashed on me. And I had to get a brand new hard drive and buddy of mine installed, upgraded. So yeah, I'm all fixer up or whatever they call it. So I'm back up and running.
There we go.
We back in it. We back in full effect, and much like the $6 million man, I am faster and stronger than ever. So there you go. So hello, Onyxxx, going full nerd.
What's going on? What's going on, Antonio? I appreciate you having me, man.
All right, man. It's always nice to meet fellow geek and whatever we call blurs. Or I see some people use the word blurred.
So. I call myself a vintage connoisseur of fine, let's say, pop culture entertainment. Is that? You think that's kind of smooth enough? I'm trying to make it a little bit, refined.
I don't know, man. I only know about the Peruvian stuff. That's how you refine that, man. But,
watch out now.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Hey, to the FBI agents listening to my stream.
Okay, well, there you go. All right. Well, for those of you that are new here, this is the Ikari Press channel, and we are. I try to stream every Wednesday. I've got a podcast called the Jill Stream. We do Wire Wednesday. So we do an episode of The Wire. I believe we are on episode 9 of The Wire now. So we obviously, as previously mentioned, because of my computer difficulties, I was not able to stream last week. But we will be back tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can also catch this the audio from selected broadcasts on this channel at anchor.fm/Ikari Press. And of course, you can check for Ikari Press on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. And of course, let me acknowledge our good friends over at Planet EJOBN on Facebook as well. So many of them out there. And if you are watching on one of the other platforms, it is youtube.com/Ikari Press. If you want to hop directly in the chat. Oh, yeah. And we are doing something else here as well. I have to get it. We are doing the pre-launch for the Daym Drops comic, which is called Super Official. You can get on there. We've had hundreds of people that have signed up for the email list. He just dropped another video and mentioned, every time he mentions it, we get like a couple hundred signups or whatever. So it was salute to Daym, but daymcomic.com, and we will get it. We'll get in on that on the pre-launch and do our thing. But Onyxxx, again, welcome to the channel. But man, about an hour before we went live, there was some sad news. I saw it went over the wire that we lost Eddie Van Halen, and I was a big fan. I was a big fan of. I love, especially in the '80s. I love Van Halen, so I was kind of sad to hear that. So.
And you know what? It's funny because a lot of people, even who they may not be direct fans, let's take it to someplace else. You got a lot of Michael Jackson fans out here, and people don't know that guitar riff in "Beat It" was performed by Eddie Van Halen.
Well, young folks may not know. Right. That was young pretty well. Young folks may not know that Eddie Van Halen played that guitar riff on "Beat It," but
that thing was fire.
I mean, yeah. When he, I wish. See, that's a bad thing about like streaming on YouTube. I wish I could play some. I wish I could play some Eddie Van Halen and not get flagged.
Yeah, they'll mess around and turn off all the audio.
Yeah, they'll shut it down. So. I'd be like Gordon Ramsay, switch it off now.
Hey, throw the other little tidbit of knowledge. He did it for free. That's crazy.
I definitely did not know that.
Yeah, that's the stuff that I've read. They say he did it for free as a favor for Quincy Jones. Crazy.
because that was a big hit,
big freebie.
man.
That was a big freebie. You can't tell me he ain't get slide a little something on the side.
Yeah, see Chauncey Blakey in the chat, and he said he saw his name in the headline but didn't know it was because he passed, and unfortunately, he's had cancer for a while.
Yeah,
and Eddie Van Halen has been battling cancer, for a few years now, but then he still performed. And matter of fact, I almost got to go. They were doing the Van Halen reunion tour, and they were going to play at, I think at the Nissan Stadium where the Titans play here in Nashville.
Okay.
And, but me and my buddy decided, because they had a couple of shows coming. They had like Guns N' Roses was coming. It was like a Guns N' Roses reunion tour, and then they had the Van Halen. And I just we kept going back and forth on it, and I was like, because I've been wanting to see, it was the real Van Halen, and no disrespect to Sammy Hagar, they actually had David Lee Roth back in the group. So I'm like, I wanted to see the David Lee Roth. That's my Van Halen. I know there's fans of the Sammy Hagar Van Halen, but I'm fans of the David Lee Roth Van Halen.
So you taking it back to the OG.
That's why I was like,
you gotta. There you go. I want it in its original, unadulterated form.
Yeah, I want David Lee Roth Van Halen. So the fact that they're coming here and David Lee Roth, and then all kind of stuff started happening, and the tour kind of broke down. They only played a couple dates and stuff like, and so I was like, okay, well, we ended up not getting the tickets anyway. So I was, but I kept thinking, when I saw this headline pop up that Eddie Van Halen had passed, I was like, man, I wish we could have gone to that, because I was like, it'd have been nice, because now it's one of those things where you're never, it's things that I regret. Like I always kept saying, one day I'm going to go to Chicago and watch Michael Jordan play basketball.
There you go.
And, they had like a 3-year waiting list to get on. It was that kind of thing.
Now I'm going to tell you, at least I wish I could have went to Chicago and seen him play ball. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area. I got kind of stuck when he came to the Wizards, and I got in on one. That's not the Jordan I wanted to remember.
Well, I've seen some, there was a YouTube channel that I watched, and they were like Jordan Wizard highlights, where they had taken clips of, he had a couple of moments, but it just looked weird to me. It just looked weird seeing him in a Wizard uniform. I wanted to watch Michael Jordan play for the Chicago Bulls in his prime. I don't know. Maybe I think of it differently now because LeBron played for 4 teams, so it doesn't matter. It's like, has it been 4? No, it's only been 3, right?
No, wait a minute. You had Cleveland, Miami, LA.
Yeah, it's only been 3. I mean, he played for Cleveland twice, but it's only been the Cavs. It's only been the Cavs, the Heat, and the Lakers, but I mean, LeBron has kind of normalized these players. You hear like just from, I mean, you're just a few years older than me, but when when players used to play any sport,
they stayed with the team.
Yeah, they stayed with the team. Bill Russell stayed with the Celtics the whole time.
Exactly.
Jackie Robinson played for the Dodgers, and that's the only team he played for. And matter of fact, they traded him, and he retired because he didn't want to put anything else on. He didn't want to wear another uniform.
Right, and you look at it. I mean, really, let's call it what it is. LeBron issued in the super team thought process, and when everybody found out they could kind of move around, play with free agency, and they lost that team loyalty, then it became, okay, we just going to do what we got to do to win. You never had your struggling players. I'll put it this way. I'm probably the fan of the worst teams in all sports for right now, because I'm a Knicks fan, and so I grew up. I grew up in New York. So
okay, hold up. I gotta ask you.
Go ahead.
What was that, like 92 when they took the Bulls to 6 games in the Eastern Conference Finals?
Okay.
Wow.
I'm gonna say one thing though. This is the thing that goes down in every New York Knicks fan history. Why did you have to try to do a finger roll, Patrick Ewing? Why? As big as you are, you should have dunked.
I've heard so many people talk about that. Like he was too passive. He was like, just should have been more aggressive. He's overanalyzed and talked about it so many times, and this kind of thing. So I don't know, but I thought there was like a 2-year window there with Pat Riley as the coach, where you had the X-Man was the X-Man.
Not Charles. I'm listening to me.
Charles Oakley.
Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
John Stark.
Woo!
And it was like
Doc Rivers.
And after that, we were trash.
Yeah.
And to this day, we are trash. I'll say it. Hey, all my New Yorkers, argue with me, be mad. I don't care. I can say it because I grew up on it.
Okay, so let me ask you another one then. Okay, so
all right.
Jordan retired. Unfortunately, his father died and the whole deal.
Right.
He retires the first time, and then the Knicks make it to the NBA Finals against the Rockets, and I'm watching live Game 6 on TV, and this is the worst, most boring game. This was and it is still to this day the lowest rated NBA Finals ever, right? So we're watching Game 6, Houston Rockets versus the New York Knicks. This game is just slow, and it's the worst game ever. And then OJ hops in a white Bronco and drives. I was watching the game live.
It's funny. I was in the military at that point. Okay.
It was on every channel.
I was one of the luckiest guys because I was working in the Pentagon at that time.
Oh, wow.
And I had a TV in my office, and we kept it on the news channel, except we were watching a lot of other stuff. You flip it to the game, you go to ESPN, you do stuff like that. Man, when OJ took over the TV, it was a done deal. It was just like, it was
on PBS.
Everything.
They showed OJ driving down the freeway on PBS. It was on. There was not a single channel. Because I don't think MSNBC didn't exist then. No. They just had CNBC. They had CNN. Headline news. Yeah, CNN and headline news. Both they were running it, and then all the main networks. But they cut the NBA Finals to show OJ driving because and matter of fact, I saw Tom Brokaw and they talked about what happened. Because they were like, wait a minute, we got the finals going on right now. And ABC and CBS were running it. And it was on CNN. And they were like, they actually had to call one of the bosses. Because they were like, we're running the NBA Finals right now. And Tom was like, everybody else is running this. And we got the finals on. And they were like, if we don't run it, they're going to go to one of the other channels. You know what I'm saying?
And the thing is when you had that most boring game, what could you do?
That game is still. I still when they came back and showed the Rockets holding up the trophy and the whole deal.
It didn't matter.
I was just like,
thanks.
Yeah. I was like, but that was a horrible game. That was you had two defensive teams. I mean, and that's a shame because I'm actually a big fan of Akeem Olajuwon's,
right?
And was happy that that he got his Robert Horry.
But I think that back then that was like ushering in what we look for today, which is the flashy, the scoring. We had got so used to it with Jordan, and we had got so used to seeing that one standout player. You go back, oh man, I don't know if I should say this because then people think I'm all crazy. But you know what? It's like the running joke with the WNBA. When you see a bunch of fundamentals, nobody gets interested. you know, if you think about it, you know, it's basketball. It's good basketball, but it's not flashy basketball.
I've tried to watch WNBA. Hold up. Here's the thing. It's hard. I'm not really into women's basketball. I'm just not into it. I've watched like Venus and Serena in tennis. No, it's like Venus and Serena Williams playing tennis. I'll watch that. You know, I've watched women's tennis, but like women's basketball, women's golf, all this stuff, it just doesn't do it for me. And you're not supposed to say that stuff because you become a chauvinist or whatever, but it just doesn't do it for me.
Here goes the thing. We are expecting excitement and flash, not the fundamentals like we're learning the game. In all honesty, it's like watching little kids. But you know, to say the skill level. Now, don't get it wrong. The skill level's there, but the flash that we're accustomed to isn't.
And you have to recognize, I'm here in the state of Tennessee,
and it's big for you guys.
We had Pat Summit down in Knoxville at the University of Tennessee.
The Lady Vols.
What she won like 6-7 championships or something. You know, she was killing it. I supported. And her girls all had they had Shamika Holdsclaw and all. But
that's the difference. That's the difference between college and pro, though. College always has some sort of extra excitement because these are individuals trying to make it.
It still didn't do it for me though. The women's game, the men's game, because I'm originally from Alabama, so I always root for. Yeah, I root for the Alabama Crimson Tide. Okay, then that's my man. Yeah, that's but I always will root for the. I've been in Tennessee since I was 5 years old, so I'll root for the Vols unless they're going against Alabama.
Okay, I'm good with you. I'm good with you on that. I went to college in Alabama back in the day, and I went to Tuskegee, which is like right outside of. Near Auburn University. I can't stand Auburn.
It's crazy how many athletes are from Alabama though, because you had Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson went to Auburn. You had Charles Barkley. Charles Barkley, his family still has relatives around Selma. Terrell Owens. I didn't know Terrell Owens was from Alabama, and then he went to UT Chattanooga.
But see what it is, I'll take the Southeast versus the Northeast where I grew up. They put more emphasis on sports in the Southeast. From Texas East, I'll say from South, the high school, college sports, they put on it. You get up in the Northeast, if it ain't basketball, we ain't really pushing it too hard if you think about it. Look at where the basketball players come from or where they talk about basketball New York, mostly.
That's another thing on my bucket list. I want to go to, I've watched all those like basketball documentaries like Hoop Dreams and all this stuff.
Come out the Rucker Park.
I need to go to the Rucker. No, real talk. That's fine. I've got a feyu things that I want. I was like, I need to go to the Rucker. So because like I said, I need to go to the Rucker just one time. All you gotta do is go watch. I can't play basketball for shit, but I need to go to the Rucker.
It don't matter. Just as long as you go see it. It's the atmosphere, man. Because they be out there balling.
I'd love to meet Pee Wee Kirkland or one of those guys, man. It's like, I was like, yeah, I need to go. I need to bless the Rucker one time because you hear all these legends, Kareem and Bill Rucker, and just all these different legends that went to the Rucker and played, and you just be like,
oh man,
Will Chamberlain, all these, oh man, Dr. J, and just
you love it.
Oh,
you love
it.
You love it. Yeah. See, it's funny because growing up in a spot, you go to places like that, but like in my case, grew up in New York, never been to the Statue of Liberty. So it's like,
that's actually not surprising. I've talked to a few other New Yorkers. Yeah, that's why I was like, I've talked to a few people that are, from New York, and they go, that's where the tourists go, man.
Yeah.
You live in New York, you don't really think about it. It's stuff
unless you get wrapped up in like a grade school trip, you ain't going to none of that.
I have to go to the Statue of Liberty because Spider-Man hung out there so many times, though.
There you go. Actually,
Spider-Man always was at like the Statue of Liberty or something. Matter of fact, I remember there was a few times he met Johnny Storm there. Like Johnny Storm.
I'm trying to figure out how he swung over there.
That's true. Because you be like, wait a minute. Although now I've seen they do all kind of things with Spider-Man now. He's got the webbing.
He glide.
Yeah, they say he can glide. He was like, oh, he glided over there. So I'm like, wait a minute, did he hop on did he catch one of the ferries that was going back and forth to Ellis Island or something?
Hey, let me tell you, I joke about that stuff all the time. I say, you know what? You sit there, you think about it. You don't think about it when you're enjoying a book. You don't care if the writer or something says, you know what, they just going to accept this part. But, sometimes I sit there and it's like, wait a minute. How do you get over there?
I read one book and Spider-Man hopped on a ferry. He hanging.
Somebody thought about it.
Yeah, because I was like, he hopped on a ferry. The ferry because the ferries were going back and forth there, and he just and he hopped on, he hung on, and then when he got there, he just hopped off.
Yeah,
that was just what it was. Because I was just like, wait a minute, but like Johnny Storm. He would throw up they had some him and Peter had a signal between them.
Yep.
And he's like, oh man, Johnny wants to talk. And
Let me go catch my boy.
And then he went to the Statue of Liberty. Matter of fact, I was going through some of my old comics.
Okay.
And I came across, I think it was Astonishing Spider. I can't remember the one, or was it the one that when Dan Jurgens left DC and he came over. He came over to Marvel and they gave him Spider-Man. I've reached out to Dan Jurgens a few times. I've been wanting to get him on and talk to him. And he's always been nice to me, but he's like, man, I get so many interview requests and I don't want to do so. I was like, I've been wanting to talk to Dan Jurgens for a while. But I know when I talk to Dan Jurgens, I know what I want to ask him because he came, he had just done Death of Superman.
Right.
And he hops over to Marvel and he's writing Spider-Man. But it's not fucking Spider-Man. It's Ben Reilly.
Oh, he got he took it over after the clone.
Yeah,
right.
He got the clone. So I'm sitting there going, you got Spider-Man, but it's not Spider-Man.
Now I'm gonna sound like kind of off because I got some crazy things in my head. I liked Ben Reilly.
Yeah. No, bro.
If it was done right. Truthfully.
No. Okay, hold up. I'm capping right now.
They drug it out.
Okay, hold on. Yeah. When they start, it was only supposed to be like a 6-month storyline, remember?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Good. And that's when Marvel, I think it was Ben Harris was in charge of all the Marvel creative at that time. And he's over at DC now, right? But Ben Harris, he took all the Marvel books and he broke them up. They had the Avengers line, they had the Spider-Man line. Matter of fact, because I was reading New Warriors at the time, and they took New Warriors and put the New Warriors in the Spider-Man books.
Right.
Daredevil, the Spider-Man books were all the Spider-Man books, like Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, Web Spider-Man.
Right. They started sectioning everything off at Marvel.
Yeah. So
I remember that.
And so, but they also included Daredevil. And they included New Warriors, and they had a Green Goblin book. They had was what's the guy Ben Urwich, the reporter, his nephew,
the good guy Green Goblin, right? Is that
it was a good They had it's like we're gonna have the Green Goblin as a superhero.
Yeah, no.
And they even had him like join the New Warriors or try to join the New Warriors. It was stupid, and then he ended up getting killed.
Well, see, that's what happens.
but the Spider-Man books were all those, and there was another one called Dark Hawk, which they brought Hawk now, which I have Dark Hawk's first appearance. I still have a bunch of those old comics from back then. But they had the Spider-Man books and they had the X-Men books.
Right.
And then so that was like
we all know the issue with the X-Men stuff, though. That was a whole Marvel debacle.
Well, I thought they were done when the Image Exodus happened, though. So when you had Todd McFarlane, Jim Lee, Sylvestri, Rob Liefeld, and hold up, I can't remember the guy that was on Guardians of the Galaxy. And Eric Larson, and I can't remember the.
You had Larson, Lee, Liefeld. Who else was it that broke off?
Valentino. That's Jim Valentino.
Right, because he was the one with Shadowhawk.
Yeah, and which I never read, but never. And I'm sure that sounds like I'm taking a shot at him, but I was never. Valentino's a competent artist, but I was never a big fan of his. But without him, we wouldn't have The Walking Dead. That's kind of interesting. Yeah, so it's like he was the one that greenlit The Walking Dead. So
that goes too. You never sell somebody short.
Oh no! Let me give him his props. If you watch the Image, they did a couple of Image documentaries, and I did not know. So he took over as the publisher of Image, and during his time, he was the one that opened up the doors to a couple of these indie. They ended up having books like Saga come in that are huge sellers for them now that we would not have now if Jim Valentino hadn't done certain things. But one under his watch. The Walking Dead, he ended up greenlighting The Walking Dead, and that is still, and they're not even publishing the book anymore.
Kirkman went off at that point.
Yeah, but I mean, they're not even The Walking Dead is so huge. They're not even publishing it anymore, and it's still selling because of the graphic novels. They keep publishing all the graphic. And it just sells and it sells and it sells and it sells. They said the show's finally going to end, but they got 2 spinoffs
They got 2 spinoffs that they're doing. Like the most recent one they just talked about and is a spinoff with high school age kids searching for their dad. So, I don't know how that's going to go because they got it within some sort of time jump. I get confused, but it's now a pure media property now, not so much a comic book anymore.
I'm sure, like you said, they say Robert Kirkman's worth over $100 million. I'm sure he's very happy.
He's putting that money away. I'm telling you.
I didn't know he's a Kentucky boy. I didn't know he was Kentucky, but him and what's the other guy that created Walking Dead? Colonel, was it? I can't remember. Tony Moore. Yeah. Tony Moore. Tony Moore still lives in. He ended up suing because of the whatever agreement him and Kirkman. He ended up suing, and they said but they say he got like $20 million. They gave him like $20 million to go away.
Give me $20 million to go away.
Yeah, so he's right. But him, there's so many people that are from Kentucky. Like Johnny Depp's from Kentucky. I didn't know that. Johnny Depp still has cousins in Kentucky. Everybody, I remember I said that about a year ago on stream. They were like, Johnny Depp's not from Kentucky. He grew up in Florida, and I was like, he was born in Kentucky. And then they Googled it, and they realized I was right. And I was like, hey man, Google's your friend. He's still because I knew he was from Kentucky because I have friends that live in Kentucky and they're friends with some of his relatives. And he has he had a home there that he would come back and visit his family.
And see, if people forget that a lot of these stars are just regular people that want to go back and kind of chill off the radar sometimes too.
Yeah.
So, that's probably his off the radar spot.
Yeah. Brad Pitt's from Missouri. I was like, little stuff like that. Like Jennifer Lawrence is from Kentucky.
Now that I didn't know.
Yeah, Jennifer Lawrence is from Kentucky. Yeah, little small ass town in Kentucky. Yeah, she's from Kentucky too. It's like, let me see. What was it? Julia Roberts is born in Georgia, a little small town in Georgia.
Oh man! So
she was born in Georgia. Yeah, it's like a lot of people don't know stuff like that. That's why I was like, I didn't know. I was like, wow, from here, I didn't.
Know what? That gets me to a point where people start worrying about what they're trying to get done or where they're trying to move ahead. It don't matter where you're from. All you got to do is just keep putting yourself out there.
Yeah, there you go, man. That's what it is. Out there. But no, but I always wanted, like what I was saying is, like, if I could talk to Dan Jurgens,
okay,
I would go, okay, so you just left the death of Superman, where they actually put Superman on the cover of Time magazine, the amount of international press that Dan Jurgens got, Superman and DC, they were pushing, they had the
poly bag.
Yeah, with the black.
I had 5 of them.
Yeah. Trust me, they still come up on eBay, right?
Yeah.
And you had the death of Superman. This is a huge, massive storyline. And then they did the Return of Superman, and then because I was reading Wizard. I don't know if you ever read Wizard magazine, but that used to be every month. Yeah, it used to come to my house. Yeah, I used to mail it because I would go to the comic shop, and then I kept seeing those little cards in the back going, get a subscription and get. I was like, why don't I said I end up paying $5 for this thing every month. Why not just go and fill out this card and send it back to them or whatever, and actually get a subscription. So Wizard, I loved it.
Wizard was one of the best kept secrets back in the day. I think we all know that they had some, I guess what it was, mismanagement that led to their demise. Plus, print is catch as hell when it comes to magazines. But that was my go-to back in the day, just for the art. But you could get the covers you wanted.
So they did an exclusive interview with Dan Jurgens, and I had the issue, right? And in the issue, they announced that Dan Jurgens was going to step away from DC, and he was coming over to Marvel in this big deal where he was going to they were giving him his own brand new Spider-Man book. So I was like, oh, he's gonna write Spider-Man. And then I realized he's not writing Spider-Man. He's writing Ben Reilly Spider-Man.
See,
and although I will say, I only read a few issues of it, but they were starting off in a place that was very interesting. They had Ben Reilly dye his hair blonde and say he was Peter Parker's cousin. Right. They gave him a job working at some little crappy. It was a little. Mom and pop meeting three, one of these little restaurants in New York. Like I said, he had the blonde hair, and a couple on occasion people would recognize him and they go, "Hey, Peter!" And he's got the blonde hair. And it's like, "Oh no, I'm his cousin. We just look alike."
Yeah.
Wink. Okay.
See, I'm gonna tell you.
And Peter had moved to what was it, like Portland, I think, or so.
He went out west.
Him and Mary Jane were about to have the baby. So him and Mary Jane. So Peter Parker, although there was a little 4-part miniseries that they put out, Marvel, kind of to let you have like a little last hurrah with Peter Parker as Spider-Man. Yeah. But the thing is, we're not going to see Peter anymore. He's going to go and raise his daughter with his wife, and that's what it's going to be.
And so that's that mistake. That's the mistake they made with that. Okay, and the issue with that mistake is. And it's the legacy characters. They lost track of what they were trying to do with Spider-Man for a while. Okay. And that was the whole thing. Because that was also that in-between time. Spider-Man had grown up too much from the roots that everybody expected. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, now, I actually want to unpack that a little bit because I've had this debate with a few people because here's the thing. How do you age the character? Because I've heard Stan Lee talk about this a few times in different interviews before he passed, obviously, where they kept running to it, okay, is he going to stay in high school forever? Okay, let's put him in college. People graduate from college. The people who were following him in college, now they're like, okay, well, I'm going off and I'm getting married and my life is changing and Peter's still in college and I can't relate to him. So, okay, let's age him up a little bit more. Let's give him a girlfriend. Let's say maybe he wants to start a family or whatever, this kind of thing. So they're and then there's like, oh, he's too old. We need to make him like 15 again.
Yeah, see, and that's the problem that, when you got a long-standing comic book history like that, that's the difficulty that all these writers have. I mean, you look at it with Marvel, the sliding time scale is off the chain. So it's like, at what point do we cut it so that we can roll it back just a little bit so we can keep the demographic that we're trying to attach with? Are we making these for kids? Are we making them for the long-time fans? What's going on here? Because then you got, continuity bugs like me, and I'll be like, wait a minute, but this didn't happen. This ain't the history. But it's like, we're not trying to make this for you. We're trying to get this demographic,
Well, like I said, Okay, so that's why I'm in that kind of like a little conundrum if I ever got the chance to actually interview Dan Jurgens, which I'm gonna keep trying. I'm not giving up, Dan. I've asked you like 3 times. I'm gonna keep asking.
Come on, Dan. You gotta come on with Antonio.
At least first, when I used to write him, he wouldn't answer me back, but he, and then I sent him another email and he finally answered me back. And now if I email him, he always answers me back now.
Oh, that's a good thing.
That's a good thing. And he's always nice. But he's like, yeah, I'm not coming on.
You know what? Hey, you got to keep hitting him with that Steve Urkel. I'm hunting you down, Laura. I'm hunting you down.
But that's what I want to talk about. His run on whatever, I can't remember. Was it not Superior? Not Superior.
It's not Superior.
Yeah, Superior is the Dan Slott one. I think
it was Spectacular, if I remember right. But I think
it's the Sensational Spider-Man.
It's Spectacular or Sensational?
Spectacular Spider-Man.
It was one of the S's.
I think, it was something like, I think it might have been Sensational Spider, but either way, they did a couple things because Dan Jurgens redesigned Spider-Man's costume.
Right.
And I actually liked the Dan Jurgens Spider-Man costume. It incorporated some of the Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider stuff, i.e. the outside web stinger shooter thing. Because that's another thing that pissed me off about Ben Reilly. Okay, so you're the clone, and you're a better Spider-Man than Spider-Man. That pissed me off. Spider-Man's actually been Spider-Man fighting alongside the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. And Ben Reilly is just trying. He's all because they did the thing. They said there was a little mini series they put out. I think you can find it on Amazon. It's called like Spider-Man: The Lost Years, and it was like it's supposed to show you what Ben Reilly was doing. Because remember he was gone for 5 years. Right. He was on the road for 5 years. He had to get far away from Peter because Peter couldn't, I'm the clone and I don't want Peter Parker to know that I'm still alive. I don't want to interrupt his life or anything. But then they showed that every now and again, like say on Aunt May's birthday, he was just like, he would kind of pull a Eric Roberts in Star 80 and just, he'd pick up the phone and he'd call Aunt May and be like, and he wouldn't say anything. She'd be like, "Hello," and she gotta, that was weird.
That was before Star 69.
No, it was. Yeah, I didn't think about that because now they got like Star. I remember when Star 69 came out. But he would call Aunt May like on her birthday or something. He's like, I have to hear her voice. She'd be like, "Hello," and there was one scene in the book I remember reading, and Peter was over there with like Aunt May, and he picked up the phone, and it was
like, "Oh, my bad."
Yeah, and she's like, "Who is it, Peter?" "I don't know. He wouldn't say." It was that kind of deal, right?
Hey, I just looked it up. It was Sensational Spider-Man.
Sensational.
It is sensational.
Okay. So Okay, so Sensational Spider-Man, and I remember I have the book. I still have it. Yeah, it had one of the what they call was it called a lenticular cut? The one where it's like the chroma key or whatever. Where it moves. Right. Yeah. You move and it like. I mean, Dan Jurgens, you draw it, and then they did some kind of thing, and I was like, there was all these little fancy ass covers, and it was that. I love Big Hero Bubba in the chat. He said both previously. Yeah, but that's what he was doing. That's what they showed. Ben Reilly was like a weird, creepy stalker dude. He's called, and I'm like, you're not dating your Aunt May. It's like I miss Aunt May.
Yeah, see, it would have been real creepy if he was calling Mary Jane. That would have been the creepy.
No, but you got to remember though, he wasn't in love with Mary Jane.
Oh yeah, he was.
Remember when the Jackal cloned him?
That was a Gwen time.
It was a Gwen. Yes.
Yeah, that was Gwen time.
That was Gwen. Mary Jane was in the picture, but he was in love with Gwen.
Gotcha.
And then Gwen died. So
you're right,
man. There's so much that they could have done with that.
Man, let me tell you. But now, like you said, the internet is our friend. I did some looking while we were talking, and I don't know how true this is. If you could get Dan Jurgens on, maybe he can clear this up. But they say he was really pushing to be the one to write Peter Parker. But the editorial staff at Marvel was shutting him down.
He wanted Peter. Because I was man.
They were like, They were like, he wanted Peter and be like, but you gonna get Ben.
But that's what I'm saying. So wait a minute, you just came off one of the biggest stories of the last 50 years, the death of Superman. Like I said, they got this on Time magazine, the front page, and all of, they're covering Superman on CNN and NBC and ABC. I'm like, it's making international news that Superman is done. Yeah. Okay, so you hop from Superman to arguably another, because I'm like, if you're going to jump from one company to the other, you want their biggest dog. And Spider-Man is clearly Marvel's biggest dog. That's the biggest dog. I mean, you'd be like, okay, I'm giving you X-Men. Yeah, X-Men is, and I remember the X books, especially like when Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri and all of them were on those books were selling. But like when Todd McFarlane was drawing Spider-Man, it was by far, it was outselling Superman, Batman. It was Spider-Man is the man. He's
the face of Marvel.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says.
So that's what it is. So, okay. So Spider-Man is the icon. Spider-Man is Stan Lee, Steve Ditko. That is Spider. I mean, that's Tiffany. That's the cachet. If you want, I don't want to jump from DC to Marvel and write Hulk, and I love Hulk. I want the big dog.
Here's the thing: Hulk's up there, but he wasn't that icon at that period.
No, if you're gonna do it, if you're gonna jump from the biggest character of one company over to the other,
get the biggest one.
Gotta get it. You couldn't come over and go, okay, I'm writing Captain America now. Love Captain America. Love Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, but it's got to be Spider-Man.
Right.
So you come over to write Spider-Man, and you're not writing Peter Parker.
Yeah, dude. Hey, that's how the editorial staff.
That blew me away. I'm sitting here, I'm blown away by that. I was like, that is such a miscalculation of epic proportions.
Now, here goes the thing. Let's go into some of these miscalculations when it comes to these publishers and things like that. Not to knock them, but at what point do you say, you know what, let me go with the proven formula versus taking a risk? In certain instances, you had this iconic character and you took a risk. You took a known, well-to-do quantity with Jurgens, and you said, okay, I'm going to bring him over, but I'm going to give him the generic Walmart brand of Spider-Man. Now, some of us, Ben Reilly had a lot of potential. Ben Reilly ended up getting developed over the years. Then it got convoluted again, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, that's like Mark Waid had a Scarlet Spider book and all this. Okay. And trust me, I've argued online with a ton of Ben Reilly fans, but Ben Reilly made me stop reading Spider-Man for a decade. I didn't read Spider-Man for a decade, but it was over. I was done. It was like, you're talking somebody that had loved this character for like 20 years at that point, and it was a wrap.
So that means don't bring Kane up at all, right?
Now here's the thing. I thought Kane was cool at first. Okay, yeah. Here's the thing. The Clone Saga had so many missteps because, again, it was only supposed to run for 6 months. It was the creative have talked about this. Matter of fact, I've seen JMD Matisse on Facebook a few times. I've been wanting to talk to him too. He's actually posted some stuff because he wrote Spider-Man 400, which is the death of Aunt May.
Right.
Which obviously Aunt May is back alive again because I remember they killed Arthur in they killed not
which one?
Which one? The butt. What's his?
You talking Jarvis?
No.
Or Alfred in Batman.
Alfred, yeah, that's what I'm like. They killed Alfred in Batman around this same time. So Alfred died, although he's dead again now too.
Yeah, he's dead again now.
Yeah, he's dead. He'll be back. I was like, okay. You keep killing them, just like, okay. So Alfred died, but they had killed Alfred too. So okay, Alfred died, and they killed Aunt May. So I have this episode of Amazing Spider-Man 400. It's got the cutout cover. It's got one of those there's a tombstone on the. Man, you gonna find
flip it.
Yeah.
The 90s were real good about those specialty covers. That was if you didn't have a specialty cover, your book wasn't getting on the newsstand.
Yeah, well, that killed the business though. It kind of like what they talk about in professional wrestling, when they kill a town. And you killed the town. You know, it was like this used to sell, but all those like the chromium covers and I'll tell you, it's crazy. Like when I go through I got like 3,000 comics, and I'm going through my long boxes. And I keep saying there was normal comic. It's like normal comic. And then there's a period I get into where everybody's all of a sudden you start seeing all these foil and sparkly covers.
That was the 90s.
And that was it's like, wait a minute, this is a normal cover. This is the normal cover. Wait a minute, this one's got like hollow foil chrome. There's trading cards, everything in there.
Hey, you gotta love the mid-90s. That was the time of pouches, lenticular covers, holograms, silvery stuff. I forgot what book it was. I think it was it a Spider-Man? Or what? I forgot what book it was. I couldn't even tell what book it was by the cover till I opened up the damn cover.
Did you ever see the one where Spider-Man had the spider armor? That is one of the most goofed on. When Spider-Man, they had to give him.
I think that was the silver cover.
And it had a hollow foil, and the whole cover was. And those things are on eBay right now. You can get them for like $3. You get them $3. You can get Spider-Man. You can get Spider-Man 400. Yeah. Well, I mean, you can get Spider-Man 400 right now. I looked a couple weeks ago, and they had it for like $3 or $4. And I thought, they were like, wow, this is the death of Aunt May. And the issue itself, I enjoy J.M.D. Matisse because he wrote Kraven's Last Hunt, which is one of my favorites. The Fearful Cemetery.
But that's another one of the iconic stories.
Yeah. Kraven's Last Hunt is incredible. So let me give J.M.D. Matisse his respect. He can write his ass off. And he actually did a very nice job. He was heavily involved in some of that Clone Wars shit, though. All the Ben right, he was heavily involved during that time. So he gets defensive. I've noticed online some people are like, I enjoy your work, but I didn't really like the Clone Saga. And he defends. He's like, hey, the Clone Saga was actually because a lot of them, the people that were involved, like what was I think Tom Brevoort was involved.
Was involved.
Yeah, and so, but they always talk about how well it was selling. They were like, hey, it's almost like Rob Liefeld when people shit on Rob Liefeld's work, and he goes, hey, it was the biggest selling issue of Avengers that we've ever had.
Hey, my man. Hey, he blocked me on Twitter, so I never even knew or said anything about the guy.
Liefeld? You blocked on Liefeld? Oh man.
Hey, somebody put something out there and said, well, look, check out what he said. So I pulled up Twitter, and it was like, this person doesn't exist. So I used my shadow Twitter account and like, no, this mug ain't blocked me. Well, that means I'm gonna start laying into your 9-foot drawing ass. I'm gonna be.
Then I was like, did you criticize? Because I noticed a lot of people, because I've seen some people on their Twitter profiles, they'll go proudly blocked by Rob Liefeld or whatever.
Yeah, I should add it to mine.
And so I noticed 9 times out of 10 they were trolling him and saying something about his art, or he can't write, or he can't do this.
But here goes my thing. I loved Youngblood. I love Shatterstar. He created that character. Deadpool. Deadpool. Here goes my thing. I may not be a big fan of his art, but I liked his creative.
Let me tell you something that 16-year-old me would talk to 45-year-old me.
Okay.
And 16-year-old me was a huge Rob Liefeld fanboy. Mm-hmm. And now I notice again when 45-year-old me is going through my long boxes and pulling up all that Rob Liefeld stuff, I go, "Oh man, that wasn't very good." I'm looking at it now, and I'm like, "Okay, it wasn't very good," but for whatever reason, as a child, I loved it.
Yo, let me tell you, Youngblood, Bloodstrike, all those.
Oh, the Blood Wolf. He rip off other people's characters and stuff.
And I liked it because it was like, oh man, it's like, boom. Yo, you couldn't tell me anything about Bloodstrike. Was one of my people didn't like Bloodstrike. They hated that book. I loved it. All of its lenticular blood-stained covers.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Didn't he actually mix his own blood into the ink or something?
That's what I heard.
Yeah. No, they said they had some kind of process, and he actually, they drew blood out of him and put.
Yeah. I love those stories. I mean, I think the concept of them were so great, and. How all the stuff at Image used to intertwine and stuff like that. Especially
I love the Image universe
and Youngblood and all that. And then you started having the falling outs.
Well, that's the thing, especially the Extreme Studios and Todd McFarlane Studios. Todd and Rob were like, I've heard Rob say that Todd kind of treated him like he was his younger brother or something. It's like, and matter of fact, there's an interview where they had like an Image panel. They were trying to do like an Image 25 reunion panel, something maybe at San Diego Comic-Con or Denver Comic-Con, one of the bigger shows. Okay. And it was Rob, and I think they had Silvestri and a couple of like Eric Larson, and it was you could see because there was a little period there. There was obviously a lawsuit. There was some legalities between. They removed Rob Liefeld from the board or whatever. The other partners voted him out or whatever. And there's all kind of weird. When you hear some of the history of Image, like the Image Eye, like I didn't know that that was one of the things that Rob apparently pulled, at least according to the other guys, that he just allowed the other partners to use the Image Eye. They actually didn't own it. And so when, he had created the Image Eye, he had created Image, to put out, he was getting to the point where he was like, I'd like to do poster art and stuff like that. I'd like to have my own separate company where I do designs that I sell outside of Marvel Comics. Okay. And so I need a publishing imprint. So I created Image Comics, and he designed this Image Eye, which I love the Image Eye, right?
Yeah, that comes in as one of the iconic logos.
And he came up and he had some kind of agreement with the guy that owned Malibu Comics. They were putting out Men in Black and some of these other books at the time. So he had an agreement with them, and he was going to just put out, and he came out with, matter of fact, there was a press ad for it, and you can still find it online. I think he had a team that ended up being Youngblood. He had to redesign some of the characters. It was called Extremes, Extreme, something, I can't remember. It was Executioners or something like that. It was clearly nodding to the X-Men, and they got like a cease and desist from Marvel. I think the ad ran in Wizard magazine, or it either ran in Wizard or it ran in one of the, I know, when you go to the comic shop, there was these free magazines they used to give out that had all the because this Image is all online. It was called Extremity or something. He was trying to play off the X Force Extreme. It was I'm gonna look it up. I'm one of the guys. But it was like extremists, or because I mean, he ended up having Extreme Studios, but it was called the team. I
can't find it.
The team clearly looked like X-Men, X-Force types. It had all the big hulking guy. I mean, it was like a mutant book. See, and they pulled it, but he had to, he got a cease and desist. Once the ad ran, they got a cease and desist from Marvel, and he had to change it. He had to alter some of the characters. And then they ended up, when he ended up leaving Marvel, he put it became what we now know as Youngblood. Okay, it was called Extremes or something. I don't know.
Oh, I'm about to find. I think I'm tracking it down.
Okay, good.
I'm tracking it down. Good. If I can figure out, it was. I can't. Come on,
Executioners or something, because he had.
It's only on my tongue because I could picture what you're talking about because I remember the Wizard ad.
Yeah. And like I said, this image, I've seen this image online, so I know it's there.
Blood Wolf was like Lobo on crack.
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
But Rob Liefeld, he's like Charlie Murphy said about Rick James. He's a habitual line stepper. Charlie Murphy always said that Rick James, he was a habitual line stepper. And Rob Liefeld is a habitual line stepper. He was always doing like Blood Wolf is clearly Lobo. And then he had like a fake Wolverine character and all that, but Jim Lee had a fake Wolverine.
Yeah,
and,
he had one.
And Mark Silvestri had what was the claw, Razor Claw, whatever that
Ripclaw.
Ripclaw. Matter of fact, I loved Ripclaw.
Ripclaw was like a mix of he was like a mix of Wolverine and you remember I don't know.
Kind of like Forge too. He was like, he was Native American.
He was Native American. He had the liquid metal exoskeleton. That was inside of what was that series? God, somebody
Cyberforce.
Cyberforce. Yep.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only one I remember out of Cyberforce. Everybody else,
the rest of those characters,
it's like,
but I mean, that's what you tell, because like when you talk about Wildcats for Jim Lee, it's clearly Grifter for me. Grifter
and Zealot.
Yeah, but I only really like Grifter. I mean, I only really like Zealot because Grifter was banging her.
Yeah,
so I was like, I'm just saying.
You're real. You keep it real.
That's like that was the couple to me. That's Gambit and Rogue to me. That's Cyclops and Jean Grey. Yeah. That's why I was like, so I mean, there's nothing really super special about Zealot to me, but she's sleeping with Grifter. Grifter's in love with her, so I love her. Oh, okay. Geek Hero Bubba, he loves Maul. Maul was interesting, especially as he got bigger, he would get dumber.
Yes,
that was the thing. Yeah. Like the bigger he got, the dumber he got. So
exactly, but he always used to end up, what was it, drooling after the end of the thing when they had to really call on him. Yeah. Like I said, Image had some real good concepts.
I think that book was called The Executioners or something like that.
You know what? I can't find it, but what I did find is it was a Youngblood advertisement from Megaton Comics. It wasn't Malibu, it was Megaton. And you can look at it and see, it's like, yeah, these guys look just like the one guy they had up front looked just like Timberwolf.
Do you have a screen share of that? Let me get that. If you got a screen share,
let me open that up. Okay, open image. Let me see if I can do this. Let me do a share screen. Okay, share screen.
Yeah, I'd love to get that.
Application. Is this what you're talking about? Boom.
Okay, let me add it.
Right there.
Okay.
This was Megaton Special number 1. This is what I found. And if you take a good look at it.
No, but this isn't the ad. That's
not the right ad. Okay.
No, because
this must have been after the cease and desist.
I'm telling you. You can still, matter of fact, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it when we get off the air. But I'm telling you, because this thing, it actually was called, like I said, it was called like The Executioners or something. Like I'm telling you, Marvel sent them a cease and desist.
Oh man!
And I think it was called.
I found it.
If you got it.
Yes. Hold on. We about to rock it.
Okay, here we go.
I found your favorite. There it is.
Let us get it.
Boom.
Okay. Let's get it. Wait, do the share screen again.
There it
is. Okay, here we go.
That's it.
Okay, here we go.
Zoom that out for you.
Executioners. Boom.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah,
that is. Yeah. And that got the cease and desist.
Rebel mutants from the future.
And that got the cease and desist. Yeah.
Man. Yeah.
Yeah, that got the cease and desist from.
Hold on, I'm looking at this. They go Domino.
I mean, you just took. Matter of fact,
they go Domino, and there's Kane. That's what it looks like.
No, we about to talk about Rob for a second. So here's the reality.
Okay.
Rob was notorious for like when he would walk away from a company, he still had his art and stuff, right?
Right.
And so, like, you remember he got into another legal spat with Marvel over Fighting American.
Yeah.
Fighting American was created by Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, right? So, and why did they create Fighting America? Because they wasn't with Marvel anymore, and they still wanted to write Captain America stories. It's clearly Captain America. Fighting American was Captain America. Right. So, but they still own that property 50 years later or whatever. And Rob Liefeld had done Heroes Reborn. It's him and Jim Lee, and they jumped over, even though they still had their Image studios. But Jim Lee had Fantastic Four.
He had Fantastic Four and Avengers.
And then Rob had
they shared duties on Avengers. And I think Rob had Hulk. No? Or was Jim Lee had Hulk? It gets confusing because I know Liefeld did the
Captain America. He had like a Thor. He had all kind of different. All the Avengers but I like the Fantastic Four was definitely. It was, matter of fact, it was Jim Lee and I thought it was Jim Lee and Jeff Loeb on because I actually have that issue of Fantastic Four #1.
I love the art on that one.
Yeah, dude, Jim Lee on Fantastic Four. In the story, they freshened it up. They made Sue Storm like she was like a scientist herself or whatever, and she was an astronaut or so they smartened up I feel like I'm shitting on Jack Kirby and Stanley.
That was the time. That was
they literally made it like Sue's like she's like his girlfriend or whatever. And Reed just put a team of astronauts together that were all his buddies.
That wasn't going to question him.
He went to college. No, he was college roommates with Ben Grimm, and Ben Grimm went off. Now remember, Ben Grimm actually went off and fought in the war, and he came home and he was a pilot. And then so he's the scientist. He's like, hey, Ben Grimm's a pilot. He's gonna fly this rocket ship for me. And Sue and her brother's gonna just come along with us.
I told you that.
Am I lying?
That was classic.
That's what I'm saying.
That was classic. Hey,
in what world, realistically? Okay, I'm gonna let my best friend from college who played football. I used to have to do his high school news. He would help him write his papers because Ben would keep the bullies away from Reed. And then Reed,
he didn't beat me up in high school. So what I'm going to go ahead and do, I know he could fly a plane, so he could fly this spaceship I made.
So I helped Ben Grimm stay college eligible so he could play on the football team. Am I lying?
Everything you are not lying.
He did. He helped him with his homework. They were roommates. People would try to bully Reed for being a smart nerd, and Ben would flex up on him and get gangster.
Right.
And that's what it was. So that was his boy. That was his ace boom right there, right? And then he went off because everybody was like, it was Korea and all, they always made the guys like, because, Stan Lee had served, Jack Kirby had served, although Stan Lee was in the newspaper corps. See, that sounds like I'm taking a shot.
Yeah, no, you're not taking a shot. It's just you're retelling history from today's perspective.
Stan Lee is a veteran, but he never saw, he was in the press corps or whatever, he was in the army.
Hey, I'm gonna throw it out at you, okay? Hey, I'm a vet, right?
Right.
I was an administrative person. Okay. Hey, what was the movie? I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker. Where we was where Keenan Wayans was talking about, I got this one for the paperclip. That's Stan Lee.
So like I said, Stan Lee was involved. Tim,
you don't need to defend Image, okay? We've professed some love towards Image.
Oh no, still got love for Image. All those comics that I bought from Image, they all have great art and shitty stories, except for like Team 7, which was written by Chuck Dixon.
Team 7 was good, yeah.
Ooh, yeah. Matter of fact, I had Chuck Dixon on. I had him on a couple months ago. Yeah, I got to get Chuck back. We're friends on Facebook. I need to ask him when we come back.
Okay.
Chuck Dixon is awesome. He's writing the what's that? The Expendables comic book with Sylvester Stallone, Expendable. He's doing that. I ordered it on Indiegogo. I don't know if the campaign's still open, but the Expendables campaign that's on Indiegogo, written by Chuck Dixon, and I can't wait. I'm looking forward to reading it. I'm a big fan of Chuck Dixon's, especially that first Robin. I asked him about that Robin miniseries that he wrote. Okay. The first one where they introduced the King Snake, who ended up being Bane's father. Which Bane was also created by Chuck Dixon and Graham Nolan. So I was like, because I actually asked him, I said, wait a minute, so when you created King Snake, did you know you were going to? I mean, he didn't, because Bane didn't exist then, so he created King Snake. But I thought I was kind of sad because they killed King Snake, and I thought King Snake was especially that would have been Robin's very first major rogue if they hadn't killed him.
Now, see, this is the thing. When you take it, here goes the thing. Okay, creating a rogue for Robin. Okay, because the mantle passes so much. What are you going to do? Because didn't they just change Damian Wayne? He's not Robin anymore or something like that?
Yeah, I think. And matter of fact,
and then they're bringing Tim Drake.
Yeah, Tim Drake. Yeah. They did a story with Damian a couple years ago where he said he went to hell and came back with like supernatural powers. And
hey, if the Punisher could do it, so can
everybody.
Everybody go to hell.
They actually do a book called "The Punisher Goes to Hell." I thought they did that. Yeah, but that's the Expendables book that I bought. Is the Expendables go to hell? They go to hell, and they go. Yeah, the whole Expendables team went to hell, and then they have to like fight their way out of there and stuff.
Hey, Dante's Inferno with a new twist, right?
Yeah.
You gotta love this stuff, man. This feels good being able to sit and talk comics, man. I'm gonna tell you that for a fact.
But that's why I was like, we definitely got to do this again because this has been a great conversation. But no. So okay. But the Heroes Reborn thing, Rob Liefeld, Jim Lee, they jumped. Now, Rob said originally all the Image guys were supposed to be on. Todd refused to work for Marvel again.
Okay,
Todd, especially then, he's gotten a little, because they released his artwork on different covers and he'll sign and stuff like that. But
he's up to working with him because he let Angela go over.
No, he didn't. He didn't let Angela go over.
Who let Angela go over?
That was a lawsuit, brother.
That was a lawsuit.
Hold up.
Okay, hold on.
Tell this story. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta school me on this one because
how did you not know that?
I thought he was given an olive branch because I really paid no attention to the whole Angela thing.
That was a lawsuit, brother. Okay, so let's go. Okay, see. Okay, Tim said.
I'm ready to learn.
Okay. So Neil Gaiman came over. Him and Todd were friendly.
Okay.
Oh man, I would love Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite authors. I actually named the character and brand for Neil Gaiman. My main character, David Craven, his master is named Gaiman. And he's named Gaiman after Neil Gaiman because I love Neil Gaiman so much, right? Okay. Now, hold up, Tim. Todd disputes that. Now the law says it's different. Okay, so here it is.
Okay. I need to know because I thought everybody was playing nice.
So what was it? Spawn number 9, because I have the issue. Spawn number 9 is the first
number 9 is her first appearance.
Okay, right. So Spawn. Now during that time, there was a string of 4 issues where Todd had brought in guest writers for Spawn. So he brought in Dave Sims, who wrote Cerebus.
That was I love that issue.
And then you got obviously Neil Gaiman, and then Alan Moore. Alan Moore's issue, which I think is number 10, is brilliant, where they had all these nods to, they had like hidden cameos of Spider-Man, Wolverine, all these different things. They couldn't show their face, but it was clearly, Alan Moore wrote this really politically charged, kind of a knock to all the big 2 or whatever, right? He kind of had a bit, and then Frank Miller
with the cages, right?
So, Frank Miller was number 11 or whatever, and then Frank Miller also wrote Batman, Spawn Batman, because it was
right.
Batman Spawn was written
that was over
by,
in DC.
Yeah, Batman Spawn was written. I can't remember who wrote. Was it Denny O'Neil that wrote? I'm not sure about it.
I'll take a look. But go ahead.
But yeah, Spawn Batman was written by Frank Miller, and Batman Spawn wasn't as good. Because they had
actually Batman Spawn was Spawn Batman was Frank Miller and Todd McFarlane.
Yeah, that's the one I have.
But Batman Spawn, I've got both. And Batman Spawn,
and they also did
Doug
Punisher. They did Punisher Batman and Batman Punisher. And I think Punisher Batman was written by Chuck Dixon.
Yeah. Batman Spawn was a Chuck Dixon.
Was Batman Spawn? Yeah, I didn't enjoy that one. Although I was on one forum and they were talking to Chuck, and that dude was like, "Yeah, I actually because Spawn. I gotta be honest, Spawn Batman is just okay. The art is incredible on it.
Yeah,
the art. Yeah, it's like you love Todd McFarlane. Spawn Batman is incredible, and Frank Miller had gotten to that space where he was just writing angry Frank Miller shit all the time." That's where you get lines like "I'm the goddamn Batman."
I love the way you put that, man.
Okay. So I got it. Okay, so Spawn 10 was Dave Sim. Okay,
right.
That's the Cerebus episode. Okay, because which one was the Alan Moore? Was it 8? Because I know it was I thought it was 8, 9, 10, and 11. Which because obviously 9. So 9 and 10. Like I said, I thought it was 8, 9, 10, and 11. But okay, so Spawn 10 was Dave Sim. So did Alan Moore write 8?
Number 8. He wrote 8.
Okay, so Alan Moore wrote 8. Okay, so Alan Moore wrote 8. Neil Gaiman wrote Spawn 10, which is the introduction of Angela.
Okay.
And she fucking exploded and just became this super popular character, right? Frank Miller wrote 11, which is okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I hate that because I don't want to say Frank Miller was out of gas because after that he came up with Sin City. You know, he was still he still did a couple things that blew up. Sin City, 300 all came after this.
Right.
And he was writing that Martha Washington stuff that was actually pretty good. Yeah, the Martha Washington. Martha Washington.
That was a book that actually flew under a lot of radars. I go to a local comic shop here, and the staff in there, they loved it, and they recommend it to everybody. But it kind of flew under the radar from just the common aspect. Yeah, number 8 was Billy Kincaid going to hell. That was a heck of an issue.
Yeah, like I said, the little 4. I actually wish Todd would take those 4 issues and put it in like a collector's like a thing, because I think that letting other people write his book. But my favorite, of course, like I said, is number 9 with Angela.
Okay.
Okay, so Angela ends up. They didn't expect Angela to just be this popular, right?
Right.
So she blew up, and at this time, Greg Capullo has taken over as the penciler on Spawn to help Todd out. Todd's busy; he's making toys, all this kind of stuff.
Right.
So he's like, "Okay, Greg, you draw the book, and I'm just going to ink it." And it ended up working out because number 1, Greg Capullo's still a badass beast artist, right?
Exactly.
And Todd inking him, you still kind of got a Todd vibe on it. And every now and again, Todd would still do a cover or whatever.
Okay.
So then, like I said, at first I was like, Todd's not drawing the book anymore. And I was a little bummed out. But
it's still
Capullo, good. Capullo won me over.
Okay.
I saw a little of his X-Force stuff before he only did like a couple of, he didn't do X-Force that long, but he did some X-Force and it was okay. And then Todd came over and obviously paid him like triple what he was making at Marvel was not paying much at all at that time. So a lot of those guys, unless you were like one of the upper, because they said Todd was making, like when he was doing Spider-Man, he was making over $300,000 a year.
See, but that his Spider-Man was in demand.
No, but to me, that sounds like a lot of money, but Todd is going, they're making millions and millions of dollars off my Spider-Man. And I'm only getting like $300,000. They're making millions.
Well, that goes with any type of thing. That's real life with jobs. If you look at it, from a business aspect, I used to work at a government contractor. And the thing is if I pay you $55,000 a year, you can guaranteed I'm making about $130,000 off your work. Mm. That's the natural pecking order on some of that. So I could get where he would be ticked off at that.
Well, the reason I mentioned because so Spawn 16 is where Capullo takes it, because I know around this time, like I said, we do the 4-issue arc and then we jump in. Matter of fact, this is when Capullo takes over, Todd McFarlane does this weird thing. Remember the jump in issues in Spawn? Anybody that read Spawn originally, not for people to go back and collect it, because if you collect it, you don't know. Mm-hmm. But it jumped from like issue 18 to like 25 or something. It jumped, and then they went back because they didn't want to show you what happened. And at this time, when Spawn came back, he had this big gash in his head.
Right.
If you didn't read Spawn Batman, you don't know that the big gash in Spawn's forehead is because Batman threw the Batarang and hit him right in the brain, right?
Exactly. Hit him square in the face.
It jumped a few issues. It was like, I don't know if it was from 20 to 25, but somehow we got to issue like 20. There were a couple of issues, and then he went back and printed those issues. And that was I've never seen anyone else do this before or since. Where he jumped, there was like a 3 or 4 gap. I don't know anybody else in the chat that remembers this, because I know this happened. I'm not crazy. He actually jumped. It's like, okay, we're on like issue 18 or 19 or whatever. Okay, we're on issue 24 now, 25.
Yep. See,
and you don't know. So if you go back and collect the back issues now, it just reads like everything was normal, and you don't know what happened. So
you didn't get that.
But if you were reading the books at that time, it literally there was a gap, and everybody was like, why is Spawn all of a sudden just jumped up like 4 issues or something? And you don't know. And so it was very strange. But like I said, Gaiman and Todd were friends.
Okay.
And I don't think they're very friendly now. The lawsuit definitely it was a multi-year lawsuit. It was not matter of fact, Neil Gaiman, he had to do like fundraisers and stuff. And I mean, you hear about how much money that Neil Gaiman has now, but at that time, Todd had a lot of. Remember, Todd had bought he was buying those baseballs at the time.
He was buying all the home run baseballs from Bonds and all that.
Yeah.
That time frame.
Okay, here we go. Tim, X month. Okay, yeah. So I think the other issues, the other Image titles did this as well. They did X month, and it did jump.
Okay.
And he had the gash in his head, which came from Batman in the Batarang, but they couldn't tell you or whatever because the book hadn't came out, and it was But yeah, they did. I think all the Image titles did. I think it was a gimmick where they said, okay, we're just gonna jump ahead,
right?
And then you were like, wait a minute, what happened? And then they went back and printed because the Spawn issue, they went back and they went.
And that's when they started switching. They with that X month, they switched titles to help each other and stuff like that. Yeah,
because Vestry did Spawn 25.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure I have Spawn 25 in my collection, but I had to go back and look at because I had Spawn. I had like the first 75 issues of Spawn. I think.
Yeah, I got like the first 30, and then after that, it's sporadic for me.
And then, Eric Lawson did. Oh, yes.
Jim Lee did Savage Dragon. Eric Larson did Wildcats. It was 6 books in all that they ended up doing.
I got to give Timothy Olsen some love in the chat. He is dropping.
Yeah, he's on top of it.
Yeah, he on top of it. I got to give you your props, brother. You are bringing the heat.
Hey, I might have to holler at him about being a moderator for me sometime.
Yeah. You doing all right, brother. You salute to you, brother. You doing all right out there. All right, so I'm gonna I had to give you your props, but yeah, Tim Olsen bringing the heat, but yeah, X month, and then it just jumped, but yeah, okay, so Todd, like I said, Todd did Angela, and this character just exploded, and they weren't expecting it, right? So they decided to do the miniseries, and at that time, by the time they get around to doing the miniseries, Greg Capullo is taking over as the pen, and I've got the first issue of the Angela miniseries. I have the first issue. I also have I have a couple of things that were rare. Or at least they were supposedly.
You got me wanting to dig through the garage through all the long
like an
boxes,
Angela
man.
Zero. There's like an Angela Zero, and I have it. And I remember it was like I paid like $40 for it. You can get it on eBay now for like $10.
Okay.
And that thing was rare. It was they only printed you had to. Matter of fact, I think my comic book shop told me that they only gave you one for every issue of the Angela miniseries you bought. So like, I mean, it was like they gave you had to order like 40 issues of the miniseries to get one copy of this Angela Zero.
Oh,
yeah, it was one of them. They wouldn't just give it to you. So it's like you had to buy like, so if you bought 400 issues of the Angela miniseries, issue number 1, you would get 10 copies of Angela Zero or whatever.
Okay.
And so I have it. And like I said, it pisses me off when I look on eBay and all those comics I bought at that time thinking I was gonna get rich.
Hey, don't bring that up. They're dragging it all the way back to Dan Jurgens. Hey, I had a fire sale when it came to the death of Superman. I had a bunch of those.
Well, Tim, let me see, because Tim wants to come up with like I'm getting ready to end the show. So I was like, I'm getting ready. I'm getting like maybe another few moments and we end the show. But but send me a DM. I'll see, can I schedule you and let you come on and chop it up and we'll promote, because I'm gonna so many people have asked me can they come on, and I'm like, I've been kind of busy.
I'll say, give me a sub over on my side, and definitely I'll push your stuff out to other people. I love creatives, man. That's awesome.
And listen, Tim, did you ever get a copy of the Violator miniseries? There was one. I know I got Violator Bad Rock, and I think that was written by Alan Moore, if I'm not mistaken. It's called Violator Bad Rock, or is it Bad Rock Violator? I think it's called Violator Bad Rock, but it was written by Alan Moore, and I got like one issue of it. And it had Liefeld's doing all these covers and all this. I was like, Executioners and
Violator Bad Rock. Yeah.
But Tim, send me Tim, send me a thing. Send me a DM, and we'll get you. We'll see, can we get you scheduled? You have earned a spot on the show. I thought you've been exceptional in the chat today, so I will. I will bring you on. But okay. So, like I said, this character, Angela, exploded, and then they brought Neil Gaiman back to write the Angela miniseries, which again, Neil Gaiman is a god, and he killed the Angela miniseries with Greg Capullo. Again, is fantastic, and Angela had sex with Spawn in the miniseries. I remember that, and that was she had sex with Hellspawn, which I thought was interesting. And Todd and then Angela started appearing every fucking where. It was Angela Glory, Angela this, Angela Avenger. She started appearing everywhere.
They hit it with the Wolverine factor.
She appeared everywhere. When I'm telling you, she was. I mean, the bitch was in my house. That's why I'm saying Angela was everywhere. Angela was everywhere. I changed Angela's name to Visa because she was everywhere that I wanted to be. Angela was all over Angela was like the COVID. She was everywhere. They were spreading her around. I could cough and I'd look and there's Angela. I was like, oh, she's in Spider-Man now. How the hell did she jump over there?
Okay.
They were wearing her out. She was appearing so much. And I was like, damn, okay. And I don't know. I don't even think at that time Neil was actually getting any money.
That's where it breaks down to.
Now, and he wasn't getting any royalties. Now, Todd says, yeah, man, you created the character, but you created it for me. And when I hired you, it was work for hire.
That's why contracts are so important.
Now, here's the thing. What Todd didn't expect, Neil is extremely thorough. And he kept all his shit Because they had apparently, him and Todd had faxed each other. There were a series of facts that I've read on this case so many times.
See, and it was reported in. I had no clue.
This is So Neil, like Todd would get the fact. All right, this is Neil. Yeah, Neil, this is fine. In fact, he throw that shit in the trash. Neil's keeping all his shit because when Neil went into court, he had all kind of records and documentation. And yeah, he had. Oh my god! Violator versus Bad Rock, written by Alan Moore and art by Brian Denham. And but
Leafield did the covers on that one.
No, okay. So Todd, like I said, Neil contacted Todd, and they were having some disputes. And around that time, Todd, there was that company? There was a company over in the UK that printed Miracle Man, which is Shazam, Captain Marvel. Miracle Man that had been written by Alan Moore and Alan Davis had worked on it. All of Miracle Man. I know a lot of you Brits over there. You Brits love what did he say? Atomic, and because I love Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel.
That was Eclipse Comics. Yeah,
I love Captain Marvel more than I love Superman. And people, but that's. Yeah, if you read Brand, you'll see that I'm a big fan of Captain Marvel. Is
people don't understand that, but Captain Marvel was a victim of copyright and people keeping paperwork.
But I'm trying. Was it the company called Eclipse or whatever the hell?
It was Eclipse.
It was a British company, and they folded. And Todd went in, like I said, he was buying all these Mark McGuire, Sammy Sosa baseballs, spending $2 million on the damn baseball, and to flex on people. They talk about how rappers flex, but Todd was flexing on people buying. You were like, damn, somebody just spent $2 million on the ball. It was Todd McFarlane. Okay, so Todd McFarlane was doing, and so he was like, oh man, they got Mr. Miracle. I can buy Mr. Miracle. And if Todd,
he did that in '96.
And matter of fact, the character Cogliostro in Spawn,
right?
They revealed him to actually be Mr. Miracle. They actually had to go back and Cogliostro, the old hermit man that was actually an angel or whatever. He ended up. They were trying to reveal him to be secretly Mr. Miracle or something. They were going to introduce Mr. Miracle into the Spawn universe. Neil Gaiman, he had worked. That was one of his first publishing jobs, was writing Mr. Miracle after Alan Moore had started working Swamp Thing and stuff, some of that. So he always has had a sentimental attachment to the matter of fact. There's a whole article on the Todd McFarlane Neil Gaiman lawsuit. I've read on this. Okay, so Todd, there was artwork and stuff where Spawn, Mr. Miracle, they had all of that, the whole thing with Cogliostro and all the whole thing. It was fucking stupid. Okay, so Todd, Neil called Todd because they kept saying, hey, but Neil had his faxes with Todd that proved that yes, he's coming in to write Spawn, but his characters could not just be used. Matter of fact, and apparently he has the same deal with DC on the Sandman characters.
Really?
That's why.
So basically, he's going to get paid on the live action Sandman stuff.
He's an executive producer. They're working directly. Netflix is working directly with Gaiman on it. Matter of fact, matter of fact, I heard that's one of the reasons Alan Moore has not worked for DC for like 20 years.
After what happened with Watchmen, I know.
He had an arrangement with them where they were not supposed to use the Watchmen characters and stuff, and now they're like, fuck it. And they just publish it. They got that Rorschach series coming out and all.
They got the Rorschach series. They had that Before Watchmen mini series with all the black. What is it? That pirate comic book set within the Watchmen universe.
Yeah, so he's not happy. He's not. So he just walked away. But apparently Neil Gaiman had this same agreement with. He had the same kind of agreement where they can't just use. There's only one of the what do they call it? The endless. the characters, the endless. Matter of fact, I've talked about this before. If you have not heard the Sandman audiobook that is on Audible, I highly recommend that you go.
Let me write this down right now.
Yeah, Sandman audiobook that is star-studded with the voice cast. It is one of the most incredible pieces of audio I have ever. They had sound effects. I mean, they got big stars to come in and do these voices. Neil Gaiman's the narrator. It's brilliant. It's the first. With the first 3 chapters, the first 3 volumes of the Sandman, and they're coming back. They're getting ready. Yeah. And let me see. Chauncey says McFarlane introduced Miracle Man in the 25th Image anniversary. Yeah. So like I said, Neil Gaiman talked to Todd.
Right. Okay.
And apparently they had some type of gentleman's agreement because there were faxes on this as well. Because Neil he did a very in-depth interview with Wizard Magazine talking about this as well. And I'm telling you, when I say Neil Gaiman kept his shit, he kept it. He kept it all.
I ain't faxing nobody.
Yeah. He kept all the, because him and Todd apparently worked everything out where Neil was under the impression that Todd had agreed to give him Mr. Miracle outright in exchange for outright rights to Angela. And that way there would be no, because he was like, I don't care about Angela anyway. And yeah, you use it, you have to, because I think he was getting royalties. I think I said before he wasn't getting, but I think he was, if I'm not mistaken, he was getting paid something. It was like, yeah, I can use the character when I want, but I just have to kick you a little bit of money or whatever. And so for creating the character, but you don't own the character. It's a Spawn character. It was some kind of weird shit like that. And Alan Moore, and remember the whole point of Image. I mean, Alan Moore, it was Neil Gaiman. Remember, the whole point of Image is that every guy had their own characters. Remember, every studio was independent, but they had a shared universe. So all the young characters are all Rob's. All the Wildcat shit is Jim Lee, Cyberforce, and all those characters.
Which is why when Rob left and you had that debacle because Apple was involved in Spawn's origin, you had. They had to do some rewrites and things like that. I got you, man. Michael Roth. That's why I'm saying that's why I said Neil Gaiman kept all his shit. And when I say all his shit, I'm talking about all them little faxes that him and Todd they had ironed this out. In faxes, and these faxes were presented in a court of law, and the faxes counted as legal documents because it was Todd faxing back agreeing to the terms. Yeah, he agreed. Like I said, Neil Gaiman. Well, that's just like now with emails and instant messages. Save them all.
Yeah. So they had agreed. So Todd, because it was like they had agreed that he was like, okay, well, I'll just give you Angela and give me the rights. For you don't have to give me my royalties on Angela anymore. You can do whatever you want with her, and if you just give me Mr. Miracle, and I can write the character. Oh yeah, Todd. And then Todd bought it. And apparently there were 2 companies that owned part of Mr. Miracle.
Right, because there was a big debacle with that on who had exclusive ownership because of that changed hands so much.
Was one of the problems. Neil had an agreement with the one company, and Todd had an agreement with the other company.
Okay.
And the other company sold Todd their rights.
Gotcha.
So Neil, like I said, that's what caused the original, because he was like, whoa,
okay. Because I where I think I got lost at is that part where you said, hey, he agreed to let him use it. And this is the part where I'm lost now, where it's like I had no idea that he was fighting, I said, the rest of the fight.
There were 2 companies that claimed to have rights to Mr. Miracle.
Right.
And both had at different times independent publishing rights. It was like, I don't know about British law. I'm not a lawyer, but this is the stuff that's been reported. And so, like I said, this case has been written on ad nauseum. So, and and Neil Gaiman, and I know Todd hadn't. I don't think they outside of them they took a picture for a kid that was a fan of both of theirs at the courthouse or whatever. And Neil, even out Todd lost the case, and Neil was like, "Hey, the kid wants to take a picture. Let's do it." And so I saw the picture of them. That the little kids there, and they took the picture, and then I don't think they've ever spoken again since.
Wow.
But
wow.
But Neil's lawyers were very thorough, and they kept all the faxes. He kept everything, and it pretty much showed. And this was one of Todd lost another big case around the same time because he lost to Tony Twistelli, the NHL player, the Tony Twist character, that guy, because he had made Tony Twist a mobster in the Spawn book.
Right. I remember that story.
You infringed on my copyright, and that lawsuit took like 3 or 4 years, and Todd ended up having to pay the dude like $10 million. But yeah, he lost that lawsuit.
At that point he had it to lose it.
Yeah, he did, but he had to pay the dude like $10 million. Well, he appealed it, and it's like all this.
Yeah.
He had to pay the dude like $10 million. And then, like I said, then him and Neil went back because, like I said, Neil had negotiated rights for Mr. Miracle with one company. Todd bought it from another company, and he wanted to use. Oh, okay, well, I'll just give you Angela, and you give me. And then, as a matter of fact, I remember Neil was telling the story to Wizard, where he actually faxed. They faxed the agreements to each other, and then Neil faxed because they had the picture of it. He actually faxed Todd something that said "hooray" or some shit like that. They were celebrating that they had come to some kind of friendly agreement. They were like, "Hooray!" And he's like, they came up to this agreement.
And dudes forget, hey. And then once that fax disappeared, Todd forgot.
Somehow, Todd decided the hell with what I had told Neil.
See, that's what happens when money get involved.
He decided to begin introducing Mr. Miracle into the Spawn universe.
Now, I remember that. I just remember it never came to fruition completely.
Yeah, like a matter of fact, you can see some of the art online, by the way, of the McFarlane Mr. Miracle. Like I said, he was teasing, he was getting, like I said, and like I said, Cogliostro, and I think either they were gonna, because remember, Cogliostro turned on Spawn. It was the whole thing.
Yeah.
It sounds so crazy. Neil filed a lawsuit. Todd filed a lawsuit. So they countersued. It was like, and this thing went on for like 3 or 4 years. There were 2 statues I remember that was supposed to come out.
Right.
And Todd had a Mr. Miracle statue, and then there was another Mr. Miracle statue. And matter of fact, Neil Gaiman created LLC that was set up to him legally fight Todd McFarlane. It was called like Misters and Miracles LLC or something. It was something.
I think it was something to get the Miracle Man.
Yeah, it was something in Miracles LLC. He created a non.
See, I like getting you the way you're filling this in for me because there's a lot of gaps that I did not know.
Yeah, he created this. He created this company that was supposed to give him the right. That was all the money that he would do things, and the money from that would go into this, and that was going to his legal fund to fight Todd McFarlane. And like I said, he kept everything. He kept all his documentation and stuff. The court sided with Neil Gaiman. And so immediately the rights exclusively to Neil Gaiman, he got the rights to Mr. Miracle. And Todd McFarlane no longer had the rights to use Angela without Neil Gaiman's permission. He got both characters as a result.
Wow.
So one of the things that apparently Marvel, this is what I don't know. This has been reported, but I don't know if this is true. Some of the money that Neil, because he wrote that what was that 1402
1602 the throwback Marvel stuff. I remember that.
Some of that money, he used some of that money to help pay his lawyers to fight Todd. That's a great story, by the way. Yeah, the 16. That story. Yeah,
that's one of the greater what if Elseworld styles tales. I mean, I love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's Neil Gaiman's a genius, and he used some of that money. That money went into the Miracles company that was funding his lawsuit against Todd McFarlane. Like everything went down, and he won the lawsuit, so he got Angela outright.
Mm-hmm.
And then Todd, as part of the settlement, had to give him the rights to Mr. Miracle. He sold Mr. Miracle and sold Angela to Marvel, and that's where you got like as Guardians of the Galaxy.
I did not know Angela was involved in that Miracle Man deal. I thought Marvel, I call them Disney Marvel. I thought they were just doing their best to, kind of, be that conglomerate that they are and start snatching stuff up.
I'm surprised Todd didn't just go, let me just pay you for the character or whatever. I'm actually surprised he didn't do that, but whatever happened, he didn't want. It's like maybe after all the years of the lawsuit, he had lost a bitter taste. It had a bitter taste in his mouth or whatever. Like the hell with this bitch. Let me get rid of it.
And some people get like that. It's like, you know what? If you ain't want to give it to me in the first place, I don't want it.
And because I think Neil said that he did try. He tried to work it out where, Todd would get to keep Angela. It's like he just wanted to prove that legally what he said was correct and that Todd had violated their agreement.
But you know what? Some people just don't want to be proven wrong. And that's all it is. Some people can't just take and walk away.
I didn't mention this. Hold up. Chauncey is dead on right. That was another.
Yeah, I remember the issues about Medieval Spawn.
And Todd said that this was bullshit too, because he was like, Medieval Spawn is just another Spawn. But Medieval Spawn was directly created by Neil Gaiman for that story so that he would own a piece of that character. And like I said, but
that opens up a lot of things, that, I would say writers and creators need to go ahead to kind of look at is if they get jobs with these larger companies that, they don't have that creator ownership and they create something as a plot point, as something that they need to cross the T's and dot the damn I's.
Well, okay. But see, here's the thing. Okay, Timothy O's, I want to touch on this because I've heard Ethan talk about this. Ethan Van Sciver talk about this when he talked about why he doesn't own some of the rights to some of the Green Lantern characters that he created, because although what was that a couple months ago, he said that they had readdressed that the DC people were starting to go, hey, maybe we should start, because he created, what was it, Jessica Cruz,
right?
And the Arab guy that's I can't remember that guy, that's
Simon Baz.
Yeah, that he created, he created both of those characters with Jeff Johnson. And so, he wasn't getting any royalties because we created Green Lantern, so the Green Lantern. But he gets royalties from like Atrocitus and some of these other characters, and Larfleeze and some of the
others. The ones he ended up the brand new characters, not the established IP.
The Lanterns didn't exist before, so the Orange Lanterns didn't exist before, but they've always been Green Lanterns. So it's like, you just created another person that's Green Lantern, so you paid for those. And they make all kind of dolls and all kind of merch with Jessica on it.
Oh man, she's on a cartoon
because they, with all the diversity in the characters, you've got a Latino character that's a female. So when they go women of DC, they automatically put Jessica. They put her in a couple of DC animated movies and stuff. They've been featuring her more.
Now here goes my thing. I always get on diversity in comics and stuff like that, especially with these pre-existing characters and how they change. That's one of my talking points a lot when I'm online and doing things like that. How hard is it to create a brand new character? You're a creator, and my thing is this,
Let me get on Chauncey Blakely, because he says maybe Antonio remembers how did Medieval Spawn fit into the lawsuits. Now, this is what was being reported at the time, because like Wizard was covering this. Okay, because Todd's position is, if I do Cowboy Batman, it's still Batman. It's just it may not be the Bruce Wayne Batman, but it's still Batman. And so Batman belongs to DC. And so I created this separate Batman, it's still Batman, the property as a whole. So if I do Future Spawn, it's still Spawn. It may be another character besides Al Simmons, But Medieval Spawn, even though it's not Al Simmons, it's still Spawn. And so Todd's position is, I own Spawn. I created Spawn. I created the intellectual property. I brought Neil in to work for hire. And then when they were explaining Angela's backstory, she fought a Spawn.
Now here goes
my shit.
Now here goes the thing. Part of that, they also established that, I think it was in the earlier issues, please don't quote me, my mind is going bad. They always said spawns existed through history. I think that was a key point. So basically, even in the beginnings of it, they established that it wasn't a one-off thing.
And when you go down to hell with Malbosia and stuff, he had a whole army of spawns. He had thousands of them. It wasn't just one spawn. So you have to assume there were going to be other spawns.
Right.
So I can see Todd's point, but Neil had a very good contract when he his contract was good, and lawyers protect Neil. Like I said, that's why let's keep it a buck on Neil, because DC fucked over Alan Moore, and to this day they have not fucked over Neil Gaiman.
Hey, and I think Neil took some hints from what happened with Alan.
So I'm just saying, like I said, they still respect him on. And from what I understand, like if you use any of the characters that he created, like even that Lucifer series on Netflix and stuff, that's all his shit. So they had to pay him, and that's what I'm saying. It's all him. They used those characters that he created. Yeah, Alan Moore had a decent deal, but it's not quite the same.
See, the thing is Alan Moore, you got to remember, he worked with knockoffs of the Charlton property that DC had bought. So where he would have a argument, he really doesn't have an argument, because DC just protected the Charlton characters, which were originally going to be used for that.
Yeah, originally he was actually going to use the actual Charlton characters, and he was going to use them in the book, and then they go, okay, we'll just make pistaches of these characters or whatever.
Yeah, because we might need these later. Which they ended up using, looking at the popularity of Blue Beetle, The Question, and things like that in later years.
And so, so we get that, like I said, so I get where Neil's like, this medieval spawn, because remember, like everything that Neil created, Todd made tons of toys. He had the medieval spawn toys. He had all kind of shit with this. I was like, so Neil's like, hey, this dude made all kind of money. And he's like, I don't have a problem with it, because he is paying me X amount for whatever my ideas, the shirts and all that. But it's actually my character, and he wasn't supposed to keep using the stuff and blah, 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 blah. Right? Well, Angela's mine. You created it, but you only created it because I paid you to create it or whatever. And so, like I said, they went back and forth. But long story short, Neil came out on top. His lawyers had the trump card. Boom. And Neil kept everything. So when he got it, Angela came. Now, that was one of the things, like I said, the medieval Spawn character went to Todd.
Right.
Spawn went to Todd. They had to have the characters up. So medieval Spawn went to Todd. Angela went to Neil. And the rights to Mr. Miracle that Todd had as part of the settlement went to Neil. Neil went back to Marvel because, like I said, they had funded some of his lawsuit against Todd. So he went back to them, gave them the rights to Mr. Miracle because they would allow him to publish it. That was part of the agreement. They was like, okay, I'm gonna get to Mr. Miracle, but you guys are gonna put it out. Okay, cool. Boom. And then the other thing was I'm gonna give you Angela. Because I guess Todd started hating the character or whatever, so they she just disappeared. So all of a sudden she's Thor's sister now.
Yeah,
so
long lost sister. Basically, they rehashed that in the Thor movie. If you think about it, with Hela.
Yeah, so
they took that whole concept.
Hela, if you know Hela's history, because she was a Jack Kirby and Stan Lee creation, Hela was Loki's daughter. Yeah, Hela's Loki's daughter, and she's the sister in the book. So I was like, why didn't they just make her his daughter, like in the book? I was like, that was weird. So,
well, they did that. That was the nod to the comic book Angela. To be honest, it felt like,
So let me see. Chauncey he says there were armies of Spawn, but it wasn't until Neil's issues that it was clearly because Todd's not a really good writer, and Neil actually fleshed. That's the thing. That was one of the things that I criticized. Even though I love early Image, they had shit writers. And as much as I read Todd Spider-Man. Todd is a great artist, but a writer can help. That's why I was like, I hear these artists all the time, and they shit on writers, and I'm a writer, and I know. If you have good art and you don't have a good story behind it, then that's what it is. But if you actually write and you write the stories with heart and make people care about the character, and you have that great art, that's why I'm saying you get Chris Claremont and Lee on X-Men.
Oh,
you get that.
Yeah, you
get a lot of that early like Wildcats and stuff like that. Jim Lee's art is great. The story is just so.
But see what drew a lot of people in back then, you could say, is the potential that it showed. They just never fleshed it out or was able to.
Yeah, so I was but like I said, Neil came out on top. And so that is it is just like I said, it is what it is, but that's how Angela ended up in the Marvel universe. Because of the lawsuit with Todd McFarlane and Neil Gaiman. And like I said, Neil won. And like I said, now Spawn, some of my favorite Angela stories didn't exist or don't exist anymore. I want Angela to come back to the Spawn universe because that's what she's from.
Well, yeah.
That's what she does.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. Yeah.
But see, here goes my thing. What happened to all the other angels? Because I stopped reading Spawn.
There was another angel. I remember that her name was Tiffany.
They had a sister girl.
Yeah, they had a couple of angels, but there was one called Tiffany, and she was like, I think she was a Rob Liefeld. I think it was created for the miniseries or what, the Bad Violator, Bad Rock or something. And it was like but Tiffany. There was one with Angela, and Tiffany was trying to kill Angela. She didn't like Angela, and it was like, but Tiffany, either way, it was stupid. The whole thing, and like basically the lawsuit said that even these other characters that you created from my creation is still my shit. The whole thing.
Derivatives, you could only go so far with a derivative.
So that's what it is. So that's how we ended up, like I said, that's how we ended up with Spawn not having Angela anymore, even though that was some of my favorite Spawn stories.
Man, I'm so glad I got that cleared up, man.
She was in an HBO cartoon. And actually, if I'm not mistaken, she actually had a small cameo in the Michael Jai White Spawn movie too. She didn't make I think they had a redheaded. I could have swore they had because Image
a throwaway Easter egg.
Yeah, I think it was an Easter egg in there. There was a woman in there with a trench coat, and she had the Spawn logo on her earrings. I could have swore.
See, now you got me looking at the DVD collection. Now I'm gonna have to go.
I could have swore Wizard Magazine pointed out she didn't actually make an appearance, but they were setting it. They were teasing that she was going to show up or something. Yeah, but that would have. Onyxxx, man. Bro, we gotta have you back, man. This was incredible.
Anytime, man. You just let me know. I just love talking comics, man.
Yeah, man. This was fun, bro. This was definitely this was in the chat. The chat was lit. We appreciate everybody who was hanging out. So let me see. I'm gonna put this. Let me go. So I'm gonna put this on my podcast. You can catch this at anchor.fm/Ikari Press, and it'll also be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio. We're on like 12, 13 different platforms. My thanks again to the folks at Planet EJOBN for hosting us as they always do. And if you do want to hang out with us, it is youtube.com/Ikari Press. If you're on one of the other platforms, want to come hang out in the chat. And don't forget, DaymComic.com. I appreciate Chauncey putting that in the chat for me there to let people know, that we've got almost 1,000 people signed up for the the thing. Oh, Michael Roth, man, thank you for the super chat. Boom, great show. Yeah, this was a great show. We're definitely gonna have Onyxxx back. Guys, go sub to Onyxx's channel.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, it is in the description there. The Going Full Nerd YouTube channel. It's in my description. Please go hang out with. But Onyxxx, man, yeah, like I said, we gotta have you back, brother.
No worries, because I'm still waiting on that. I'm still waiting on the results of that Daym comic. I can't wait to see it because that's my boy. I gotta see the tomato and lettuce take him out.
Hold on. Oh, Chauncey. Okay, well, I was about to sign out, but Chauncey got it. Angela was in the part. I knew it because I remember there were Easter eggs got pointed before. This was before YouTube. So Wizard Magazine did a special on the Spawn movie, and they pointed out that she had. I
found the image.
Oh, hold up. Okay, before we get off the air, let me do share screen.
Oh, it's on. Boom. Boom and boom.
Okay, so here we go. Let me get the. Okay, here we go.
There she go.
Boom.
That was supposed to be her.
I told because I knew she had Spawn. That's supposed, even though that's actually kind of a trash Angela.
Yeah, it is.
They would actually have to hire a star to be Angela. Because I was like, you just. But yeah, so Angela, they were teasing it that she was gonna be there in the, they were, because Todd actually thought they were gonna make multiple Spawn movies, but hearing that Jamie Foxx is going to be the new Spawn, even though it keeps Jamie Foxx. Although Jamie Foxx is Electro in the new Spider-Man, which is apparently going to be a multiverse Spider-Man. No, I tweeted out a couple hours ago. They said Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were
Andrew Garfield and Tobey, yes.
Spider-Man movie. So this is okay. Okay. Man. Whew. Man, this is crazy. All right. So Tim, I will get back up with you, brother. I'll definitely let you come on and shield your wares. And as always, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right here on YouTube, all of the Ikari Press, IkariPress.com takes you to Brand Way of the Gun. We are very, very close to crossing $30,000 on the book. So thank you guys that have been supporting Brand Way of the Gun. So yeah, we're getting close. And of course, like I said, DameComic.com. Like I said, the signups have been going crazy on that. Onyxxx, you got anything to say before I hit this button?
Hey, go ahead and hit the button. Appreciate. If you come ahead and sub over at Going Full Nerd on YouTube. Definitely, I do movie reviews, pop culture, entertainment, and basically talk junk. I'm usually drunk when I do mine, but that's okay. So we'll work it out. I'm kind of reserved today.
No, I like this Onyxxx.
Drunk Onyxxx is more fun though.
I need this. What you brought today? You brought the. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. This has been, like I said, chat. Appreciate you guys.